What is up, my dear friend, and welcome to the Happy Heart Academy podcast. I'm your host, Tyler, and today we are talking about how to reconnect back to you. What a fun conversation to have. What a fun conversation to have. This is a fun conversation for me to speak with you today, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on the podcasting app. Ideally, I think it's so vital to learn how to connect back to you. So I'm going to give you 3 big ideas on how you can begin to connect back to you and how I've learned to connect back to myself. But before I share those 3 big ideas, I want to go into this quote that I'd love to share with you. And it says that you cannot build a deep connection with someone who is disconnected from themselves. I want you to marinate in that for just a quick moment. It says you cannot build a deep connection with someone who is disconnected from themselves. How true is that? This is part of the reason why it's so important to do the work that it takes in order for you to heal yourself. So you see, when you heal yourself, when you work on facing the painful parts of you, you are no longer disconnecting from yourself. You are facing yourself. You are going into yourself. You're allowing yourself to be vulnerable and sit in the uncomfortable space that would rather distract yourself from facing those uncomfortable emotions and feelings. So today we're talking about the 3 big ideas on how you can begin to connect back to you so that you can finally connect back to others. And before we get started in this, guys, excuse me, I am so excited to say that there is my new training finally out. It's called Happiness After Heartbreak. It's the free training to teach you how to literally reclaim your happiness after heartbreak. But more importantly, it's going to teach you how to move on, so that you can begin to let go of your ex and your painful past and reclaim your life and your happiness after this heartbreak. And if that's something you're interested in, great. I would love for you to check out the training. You can click the link in the show notes below. If you're watching this on YouTube, it will be in the show notes below. If you're listening to this on podcast, be sure to check out the show notes. And once again, I will label it free Happiness After Heartbreak training. Once again, it's completely free. It's about 30 minutes long. If you have the time to sit down and you're ready to move on and you're ready to heal your heart and you're ready to reclaim yourself in your life and your happiness, then this training's for you, because I go into not only a little bit about my story, but also, more importantly, the 3 steps that you can take, that everyone out there has to take in order to reclaim not only themselves, but also let go of the painful past, their ex, and their life. So, listen, if you're ready to move on and create happiness after your heartbreak, please be sure to click the link below. Check it out. It's a free training directly given to you from me, just to teach you the 3 foundational pieces that you need to be focusing on throughout this heartbreak journey so that you can create some inner peace, happiness, and reclaim your life. So if that's something you're interested in, like I said, click the link below and you'll be on your way to happiness after this heartbreak. Now, on to today's episode. My friend, we're discussing how to rebuild that relationship with yourself, because that is the foundational relationship that will go into every other relationship you'll ever have. A lot of the times that when we step into a relationship, one of the most common denominators in every relationship, whether it works or fails, is us. And so if we don't know who we are and what we bring to the table and, what type of person that we want to be and aspire to be every single day and work on getting 1% better, we're going to often find ourselves in many more heartbreaks to come. So, like I said, this episode is going to be important because I'm sure that many of us out there, what we're really looking for is we want deep connection. We want intimacy. We want love. We want security. We want certainty. We want freedom to be with someone that truly loves us and that we love them. So if that's what you want today, then you have to understand the importance of actually facing yourself. Like, wake up and face yourself today. That is one of the key actionable steps that I need you to do. Like, you know what you need to face. This is not work that I can do for you. This is work that you have to do for you. You have to face you. Now, you don't have to do it alone, nonetheless, but you really do have to face you. You have to get uncomfortable and be okay with being uncomfortable for a little bit of time. You've got to face the pain. You've got to face your past. You've got to rewrite the past. But nonetheless, if you want to build a better relationship with people in your future or with people right now, then you've got to understand this truth and this meaning that you cannot build a deep connection with someone who is disconnected from themselves. So let's start out with, what does it mean to actually be disconnected from yourself? Well, to me, what that kind of looks like is when you're disconnected from yourself, it just simply means you're ignoring yourself. let's try to make this super simple. Have you ever tried to ignore someone? What are the things that you do? Let's say someone is physically in your presence. They're sitting on your couch. What do you do if you're trying to tune them out? Well, you might just focus on something completely different. You might be short with them. You might turn on Netflix. You might scroll on your phone. You might, just remove yourself from the room entirely. You might just kind of like not say a dang word. And if you say something, it's rather mean. It's vicious. It's short. It's just nasty. So the way that we oftentimes disconnect from ourselves, we run to different disempowering things, such as habits. Now, what we do is we run to our phones. That's one of the biggest ways that we distract ourselves from building a relationship with ourselves, is we run to our phones. We scroll on mindlessly on social media. We maybe find ourselves diving into different podcasts, maybe different Netflix series. Maybe we find ourselves always constantly working on something, whether it's our house, whether it's, cleaning, whether it's, or maybe we're just sleeping, or maybe we're addicted to porn, or maybe we're addicted to, the cigarette, or maybe we're addicted to drugs or alcohol. Nonetheless, you know what your mechanism of distraction is. Every time you feel uncomfortable, like you don't want to sit and be alone and just listen to your thoughts, you run to something. What is that something? The first key to building a better relationship with yourself is understanding how you try to disconnect from yourself. So let me ask you, how are you currently disconnecting from you? How are you no longer trying to listen to you? How are you trying to ignore you? That inner voice, your inner heart, your inner being, your intuition. Some of my tactics that I used to use in the past, and sometimes I even still do. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm not fully healed. Heck, I don't even think we can actually fully heal ourselves. I'm not sure yet. I don't know if I've learned enough to understand that you can actually fully heal and be at complete peace. I think there's probably a way, but I'm just going to go off the hook and just say, I don't think we're ever going to be completely healed, but we're always going to be healing. We're always going to be in the process of acting toward our better selves and healing ourselves. So I don't think being healed is a destination, but it's a daily act. It's a daily practice. It's a daily self-being. And so if you want to begin to reconnect with yourself, my friend, one of the greatest things that you can do is learn you're disconnecting from yourself. So what are some of the things that are disempowering you to not listen to you? How are you ignoring you? That, and what I mean by that is, how are you ignoring the voice that's in your head that's telling you like whatever I'm doing right now is not making me feel good? What are you currently ignoring that is like doesn't make you feel good? And once you identify the things that don't make you feel good, then what we can begin to do is the first big idea is to sit in solitude. I need you to sit in solitude and and what does that mean? It just means to sit alone with like maybe just some quiet, peaceful background music on, and just kind of tuning in, because ultimately we don't spend enough time tuning in to ourselves or being alone by ourselves. A lot of us run away from being alone or being by ourselves. We run away from being alone or being by ourselves by, once again, those distracting mechanisms, whether it's running to another partner, maybe swiping right on Tinder, maybe it's pornography, maybe it's Netflix, maybe it's cell phone, maybe it's spending time with friends and family. Not saying that these things are bad. I'm just saying if the goal here is to really reconnect back to yourself, then what you need to do is really sit in solitude. And solitude, by the definition here that I just pulled up, is the state or situation of being alone. A lonely or uninhabitable place. Uninhabited, my bad. So let's go with the first definition, the state or situation of being alone. Ideally, it's this idea to really just be alone and remote and away from people, from distractions, from TV, from your phone. Because once you do this, you're going to start hearing the inner voice run. And let's just see where it naturally runs to. Don't be fearful of it. It has no power over you. Thoughts are just passing clouds in the sky. You'll have a million a minute. And so once you're starting to sit in solitude and just literally I usually just play background music. I know I've talked about this in the past, but like literally I just love tuning into the energy and vibration that music can bring. I just sit alone and then I just start writing out my thoughts. I don't know what comes to me, but oftentimes what usually comes to me are just different thoughts of like my emotions and why I feel the way I do. I often ask myself, like, if I'm not feeling good, I ask myself why. And this just helps me understand, like, why do I feel so X, Y, or Z? Why do I feel so unfulfilled? Or why do I feel so, like, for example, if you're feeling unfulfilled, it could be because you're not focusing on the things that actually can make you feel fulfilled, because you don't know what makes you feel fulfilled, because you haven't connected to you yet, right? Is this making a little sense? Is this helping you out? I hope it is. So first things first is, like, once again, is understand how you distract yourself from dealing with your internal mind. Secondly, you really have to sit in solitude and then begin to hear your voices and start to write whatever comes to mind. Just free flowing writing. I journal, but you could type it out as well. Or once again, you could speak it into the voice messages app on your cell phone. Either way, nonetheless, what you're really doing is you're just taking out your thoughts of yourself. You're just writing them out and just letting them kind of like go. That's it. That's the idea behind it. All right. That's one way you can connect back to you, is really just sitting in solitude. The next big idea that I think's helped me out tremendously to connect back to me and discover me is I started to read books that helped me find me. I started to read personal development books that helped me to work on me, that helped me to understand the mind, thoughts, emotions, love, like all of these things that I've realized I'm like, I have a problem with love. I feel like love has hurt me in the past. I want to change that belief. And so I started reading books about love, and this helped me to understand myself and how I'm a loving being. And I was created by love, to give love, and to receive love. And so I think books are a powerful place that you can begin to go and rebuild. Now, I know some of you probably don't like to read, but hey, you're listening to the podcast, so that means you like to listen to things. So try out Audible. Don't just dismiss this big idea, because there's power in these books of worldly wisdom that can help you to reconnect back to you. Just find a problem that you're currently dealing with and look up a how-to book. And once again, you'll probably find your answer or some different ideas. Your brain will start to go different places and be like, oh, that's totally me. They said that so perfectly. I couldn't have said it any better. And that's exactly what I'm going through. And that's how exactly I feel. And they'll oftentimes give you the solution to how to get through that. And that's beautiful. I think, once again, I think there's a lot of beauty in books. So every day I spend about, a half hour to 45 minutes in books, reading and studying, just to continue to grow myself and learn about myself and, do those different things. So that's one of the greatest ways that you can connect back to you, is through books. So definitely, like I said, I know it's simple. I know it's common sense, but common sense, my friend, isn't always common practice. And what that means is that you're not doing what you should be doing. Just because you know it's good doesn't mean you're doing it. So I'm challenging you to actually get out of the uncomfortable feeling of just like, hey, I've got to read a book today, this week, this month, this year, and allow it to help heal you. There's so many books. Hey, if you have questions, listen, I'm real. You're not just listening to some voice. I'm legit, right? I know I don't really have to say that, but like, email me. You can email me at tyler@happinessafterheartbreak.com. And you can email me, send me a message like, hey, what books do you recommend? I'd love to give you a book recommendation, in regards to helping you find yourself or whatever situation you're going through. Like, let's communicate, let's talk. You're listening to me, talk to me, and I'll be able to better serve you. So last big idea here is define who you are and who you want to be, more importantly. I think in order to connect back to you, you've got to define who you are. Who are you today? Maybe it's someone you don't really like, and therefore that's going to be hard for you to answer because you don't want to admit that you don't like yourself. So that's why I give you the idea of like, who do you want to then become? Sometimes what we really have to do is we have to know what we don't want in order to know what we do want. Sometimes we have to go through the pain in order to find the pleasure. Sometimes we have to sit in solitude to feel the uncomfortableness so that we can identify what's making us feel uncomfortable so that we can begin to live in congruence and alignment to who we want to become. A lot of the reasons why people feel unfulfilled, unloved, unhappy is because they're not living to their truest potential. You're not living to a true potential that you could be the best mother, that you can be the best father, you can be the best, husband, you can be the best wife, you can be the best single person, you can be the happiest person. You have these aspiring dreams within you that have not been extracted, that have not been placed on paper, that have not been written down, that have not been recognized, and they're being ignored, and therefore you're feeling bad about yourself. Listen, it's time to take care of you, my friend. This is the heartbreak during your singleness. This is just like, listen, my relationships are not going as planned. It means you need to reconnect back to you so that you can give more, so that you can love more, so that you can be more open. Because like this great quote says, you cannot build a deep connection with someone who is disconnected from themselves. Start to figure out how you can connect back to you. And one of the greatest things that I'm surely that you can do is figure out who you want to become. Give yourself someone to look forward to. Like, who do you aspire to become? How do you aspire to feel? How do you aspire to think? How do you aspire to treat other people? How do you aspire to, what do you want to be said about you when people talk about you when you are no longer around? I know that that's kind of deep, but nonetheless, I think this is a really good work to help you to connect back to you. So listen, if you want to build joyful and loving relationships with yourself, others, and everything in between, you've got to understand that the only way that you can do that is if you start to deeply connect back to you. And finding ways that can make you feel deeply connected back to you can be a powerful way in which you can finally feel that fulfillment, that happiness, and that joy in your life, in your heart, in your mind, and in your soul and spirit. So nonetheless, my dear friend, thank you for spending your time with me today. I appreciate you so much. If you have questions, like I said, email me at tyler@happinessafterheartbreak.com and let's hold a conversation. But before you go, if you are ready to learn how to move on from your ex, let go of your painful past, and reclaim your life and happiness after this heartbreak, I've got a free gift for you. And it's a free 30-minute training where I walk you through the 3 steps that everyone must take in order to move on from their ex, regain control of their life, and reclaim their happiness after heartbreak. And if that's something that you're interested in, then be sure to click the link below in the show notes before you go so that you can finally begin to move on from that painful past, let go of your ex, and finally reclaim your happiness after this heartbreak. Once again, the link will be in the show notes below, and I hope to see you on the inside of the training.